Hello, guys! Tea with me today is bringing advanced grammar. In this video, we are going to check the difference between whether and if, and make sure that you guys make no more mistakes. So, are you ready? Grab your pen and paper and let's roll! Hello, guys. It's a pleasure to have you here today on Tea with me. We are working with grammar, advanced grammar today, and the subtle things that we need to know about grammar. Today, we are checking the difference between whether and if. But before we get to that, don't forget to like this video, share with your friends, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our videos. And then, of course, let's take a look at some sentences to remember what's the definition, what's the meaning of whether and if. Whether Emily wants to admit it or not, she wishes everyone would like her. Tom needs you right now, whether he knows it or not. I really don't know whether to finish him or not. If he calls, can you please answer right away? If you studied hard, you would pass the exam. So basically, what these two words are trying to express, the meaning they are trying to convey is a condition. If that condition is going to be met or not, it's not the relevant part, but the idea that they represent. And considering that, we consider them synonyms. But we have to be careful because there are some places where both of them fit and some places where they don't. You need to be careful on how you build your condition so you can decide which one to use. For example, when you are reporting indirect questions, you can use whether or if you're going to choose. If you don't remember what an indirect question is, an indirect question is when you are trying to be more polite or when you are under a more formal context and you want to ask a question, you want to make a request without sounding too demanding. So what you are going to do is that you introduce your question by a sentence that's going to be the polite idea behind your question. You are breaking your question apart, let's say that, in terms of formality, in terms of context, okay? You are avoiding being too direct with your question. Those are the indirect questions. And here we are considering the yes or no questions. When you are reporting indirect yes or no question, conditioning something, okay, you can use whether or if. There is a tiny bit difference that whether is more formal. It's very common for us to use if under these circumstances on our daily conversation. Take a look. Call the supermarkets around town and find out if any of them sell the blueberry pies. The question here is, do the supermarkets sell blueberry pies? But instead of asking the question directly to the person, I am saying, call the supermarkets around town and please find out if any of them sell blueberry pies. This is a yes or no question. So there are only two possible solutions, two possible answers for this question. So I'm going to use if. Under a more formal context, I'm going to use whether. The directors will be asked whether they would recommend the book to their clients. Imagine these under a business meeting context, okay? So my recommendation, daily conversations, go if. And under business or more formal circumstances, use whether and you make no mistakes when you are talking about indirect yes or no questions. But then we have a situation when we use whether most of the times. We use whether all the time, actually. With or, when there is more than one alternative. When I am presenting alternatives for something to a person, I need to use whether. After the election, we asked whether the parties should change their leaders, their policies, or both. I have options here. I'm presenting options for a person. So when the person has options to choose from, and of course, if it's options that I'm providing, I am coming with the particle or. So whether is the word that I need to use. Then we think about alternatives, expressing alternatives with the use of a negative, whether or not, if or not. I can use both, but I have to be grammatically aware of the position that or not is going to have in the sentence. When it comes to if, or not cannot be placed together with the particle if. When it comes to whether, it doesn't matter. Whether allows me to work together or apart. Let's take a look at the examples here. I called Bill to find out whether or not he really did go to Afghanistan. I called Bill to find out whether he really did go to Afghanistan or not. Do you understand the idea of separation of whether or not? Whether allows me to work both ways. If, no. I called Bill to find out if he really did go to Afghanistan or not. Always the particle or not goes to the end of your sentence. And then I'm going to use whether before a verb in the infinitive with to. Most of the times when we use this structure, we are referring to future plans, decisions we are thinking, we are considering regarding future events. So take a look. I was wondering whether to go for a swim, whether to leave earlier for the airport, whether to dress up more formally for the event. I am considering something. I'm referring to decisions that I have not made yet because I am considering them. I have choices to make. Some financial decisions, such as planning a pension, need to be taken as early as possible. Others, such as whether to move house, can probably only be made much later. So every time this whether or when you think about structuring a sentence, you are going to put a verb in the infinitive, you need to use whether. Then we have another use for whether, which is after prepositions. Later, I argued with the doctor about whether I had hit my head since I couldn't remember feeling it. So prepositions, I have no choice. Whether is my word. Okay. And then if. I introduce clauses after verbs of doubting. Every time I'm expressing an idea and I am considerably in doubt about it, I am not certain about it, I'm struggling with that information, I'm going to come with if. I don't know if I can drive. I didn't prune the rose bush this year, so I doubt if we are going to have many flowers. I don't know. I doubt. I'm not sure. Those are clauses, those are sentence starters that we use when we are in doubt. And every time we have this structure, if is the word. And I'm pretty sure you guys remember if clauses. If clauses, they are called if clauses for a reason. They are not whether clauses. So when I have a condition, when I want to state one thing that depends on the other, for example, you will pass the exams if you study hard and read all the books required. In order to pass the exam, you have something to do first, which is study hard and read all the books required. I have a condition. Okay, so if clauses, they are not whether clauses for a reason, and I needed to pay attention here to the verb tenses to structure the ideas that I want to convey. But this is content for another video today. We just studied the difference, the situations in which I'm going to use whether and the situations in which I'm going to use if. So the best thing to do now is study, review, watch the video again, write down the examples and write your own examples. If you want the material from this presentation, the PDF is available on the video description. subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our classes, because together we grow stronger, we go further, we learn better. So I see you guys next week.